Welcome, welcome. Hi there, folks. Welcome to Sonia's Real Estate Connection. This is the show where I connect you, my wonderful listening audience, to the latest and greatest information concerning today's real estate market hot topics. I want to welcome you to today's show and thank you for tuning in. Once again, I'm your hostess, Sonia Mays, real estate broker and owner of Midwest Executive Realty at Park Place in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Our office is located in the 53224 zip code area. We are just east of Highway 145 and west of 107th and Good Hope Road in northwest Milwaukee, just minutes away from Germantown and Menominee Falls. We provide real estate and property management services in southeastern Wisconsin, covering 6 counties, including Milwaukee, Waukesha, Washington, Ozaukee, Racine, and Kenosha counties. We are a real estate firm that represents buyers and sellers, investors and organizations, as well as banks and financial institutions in their real estate transactions, dealing with residential and commercial real estate in the great state of Wisconsin. I am a full-time licensed broker, proud to serve greater Milwaukee and surrounding areas in southeastern Wisconsin. And once again, on behalf of the company, I want to thank you for tuning in to this episode on the Understanding the City of Milwaukee Scope of Work document. It's always a pleasure and honor to serve my listening audience in this capacity. I'm here to help empower and educate. And as always, I'm delighted to share my time, energy, knowledge, and resources with you. All right, folks, let's get right into it. As the topic states, today we're talking about the City of Milwaukee Scope of Work. We'll explain what it is, we'll go through it, we'll explain how it works and why it's necessary, a necessary requirement and document for you to purchase any city-owned property in the City of Milwaukee. What it is, the scope of work is a list of repairs, both interior and exterior, repair work that's needed to bring the property up to code, or as the scope of work document states at the top of the document there, it states that it represents the minimum requirements to meet health and safety issues. Okay, now these are minimum requirements, so it's not a full list of repairs. There may be other items that come up, but this is represents the minimum requirement to meet the city health and safety issues. All right, this document is typically provided for all City of Milwaukee properties. It's usually anywhere from a couple of pages to it can be as long as several pages in length. It is used for residential properties only. So if you're purchasing a commercial property from the city, a commercial property that's city-owned, then you will not find a scope of work on a commercial city-owned property, as they do not issue a scope of work on commercial properties. For the commercial properties, you have to provide your own scope of work or a renovation estimate cost based on your contractor bid or estimate for the city-owned commercial properties. However, if you're in the market for residential properties, be it a single family, duplex, or multi-unit, typically up to 40 units on a residential city-owned property, then there would be a scope of work available. Now, the scope of work is listed on the city website or the city webpage under the property listing, just below the property address. So there you will see a link that says scope of work. So if you go to the city website, the page that has city houses for sale, and it's city.milwaukee.gov/city houses, city.milwaukee.gov/city houses. Again, there's a link that says city houses for sale. You click on that link, and then you'll see current listing and extended listing. You can click on either one. The current listing consists of the properties that are restricted to owner occupancy. And the extended listing consists of properties that are open to investor bidders. So you can click on either link, and then you'll go. It'll bring you to the property list page, a list of properties. And then if you go under the property address, you'll see a link that says scope of work. If you click on that link, it should open up the scope of work document for you. And so, again, whether you're looking for investment properties or own occupancy properties, this link exists on both sides. So what you'll see is the actual document, the actual scope of work document. The first part of it consists of the exterior work orders on the property. And this document essentially takes the place of code violations. So if you're used to looking for code violations, you're used to looking up code violations on a property that you're thinking about buying, you will not see the code violations list on the city-owned properties. The scope of work generally takes the place of the code violations list, and the scope of work actually identifies all of the would-be exterior, interior code violations or work orders or work that's needed on the property. So again, you will not find the code violations list on the city-owned properties because they have a very detailed and itemized scope of list for each property that they take back into possession or in RIM. So on the first page of the scope of work document on our sample here, you'll see items such as landscaping, steps, handrails, service walks, fencing, parking, etc. If you follow the line item to the right where it says cost, if you do not see a number in that column or in the cost column, then there's nothing there to worry about as far as the city is concerned. However, if you do see a number, or if you don't see a number, then there's nothing to worry about. If you do see a number, such as on our example document for 5646 North 96th Street, where it says fencing, and then you go over to the far right-hand column under cost, it says $3,000. Then this is an item that will need to be addressed after closing. So if you see on the scope of work, you see a number under cost for that line item, then that's something that you need to address, and you need to factor that into your budget for the renovation cost for this property. So that's part of the financial strategy that you want to include as you rehab the property. And this is something that will have to be addressed after closing. Now, you'll notice that they also have the box checked for yes under self-help. Now, if you see that box checked yes under the note comments column, or where they have the first box says NA and then the second box says yes. So if it says yes, then that means that it is a self-help item, and this is something that you can either eliminate or reduce the cost on the scope. And so a self-help item is something that the city will allow sweat equity work to be performed on the property to reduce the cost of labor and materials in the total rehab or renovation cost. So let's say you determine that the fence, let's say you go to the property through analysis of everything, and you determine that the fencing that's damaged or broken at the house is not going to cost what the city estimates it to cost. So the city is estimating on this particular property that the damaged fence is going to cost $3,000. And let's say you go there, you walk through, and you realize that you can purchase the materials for $1,000 and you can install the fence yourself. Then what you would do, you would cross off the $3,000, which is the original amount. You would cross that off for this line item only, and then you would write in the number 1,000. You would write in 1,000. And this would be considered a modified scope. So there is an example of a modified scope on the city website. So again, if you're on the city housing webpage, city houses for sale at city.milwaukee.gov/city houses, you can scroll down kind of towards the middle of the page, and there's a modified scope of work blue link. You can click on that link, and it'll bring up a copy of a sample modified scope. And the sample document, if you have it, it should say 4529 West Hadley Street at the top. That is the sample modified scope of work. So if you're looking at that sample, you'll see where they've crossed off items, so such as the first item under garage, and where it says paint, and then it says all wood surfaces, and then a box is checked for yes, self-help item. They've written in self-help, and then you go over to the far right column under cost, where the original cost of this paint item was $500, and it has been crossed off, and they've written in $150. So that's an item where you can allow for self-help item and a reduction in the original amount. So let's say you're going to purchase the paint, the materials yourself. It's going to cost you $150, and then you'll do the painting yourself, you and your family member or friend. And so that will reduce the amount on that particular item from 500 down to 150. Okay, you got it. So that's where that is, and that's how that comes in. So as you can see through the document, you scroll down through the sample modified scope of work document. They've modified several items throughout this document, where they've reduced the original amount and have allowed for a reduced amount for self-help items. And so you want to make sure that you recalculate all of your numbers in the right-hand column to adjust the total cost of the estimated exterior cost on the modified scope. So if you continue to scroll through, and you'll get to the second page where you have the total for the exterior estimated cost, you want to add up everything, recalculate all of the numbers in the far right-hand corner to get your total exterior cost. And then you would follow through and do the same thing for the interior work. So the next pages in the report or the scope consist of the interior work or inside work that needs to be done. So outside versus inside. And here again, we would go through each item line by line. So where it says repair, replace furnace, 3,000. I typically do not I do not modify items dealing with permits such as heating, electrical, plumbing, unless you have a contractor bid. So in this case, in this example here, where it says electrical upgrade service, and they've written in contractor bid, so it's actually the price has went up from $1,749 to $2,500 based on their bid to upgrade the electrical service in this property. So that's perfectly fine, but then they've crossed out some other items as far as the receptacles, switches, and fixtures. All of that is included in the contractor bid for a total cost of a modified cost of $2,500 on all of that electrical work. And then again, additional self-help items are allowed under plumbing for tub faucet and for water heater. That price is reduced down for purchasing reducing down certain items, and going on to doors and walls, and again, paint. And then smoke detectors is something that you can personally install yourself. You do not need a licensed contractor to install a smoke detector or to paint or to put up doors. So those items I typically reduce them because they do not require licensed contractors to perform that work, and no permits would have to be pulled. So again, as you go through the scope of work, you're going to cross off the original amount, write in your modified amount, add up the numbers for the interior estimates and exterior, and then add both interior and exterior amounts to get the total exterior and interior cost on the last page of the scope. So when you scroll down to the very last page of the scope of work, where you'll see at the bottom, it says total, exterior, and interior cost. This should be the total for both inside and outside work. Make sure that everything is added up correctly. And then you would write that number in and present the new document as a modified scope of work. The other thing I want to point out here is that the scope of work cannot be modified below 40% of the original amount without a licensed contractor bid. In other words, the city will currently allow up to 40% discount on the scope of work with self-help items and other modified line items on the scope. So if you'll notice on the sample document, the original amount of the rehab cost was $40,000. $590. It looks like 40590. If you take 40% off that price, then the new modified amount would be 24,354. So that would be 60% of the 40,590. Now it would be easy to just cross off 40590 and write in 24354, but it's not enough to just simply go to the last page, cross off the last number, and put in, write in the new amount at 60% of the original scope. You need to go through the scope page by page, line by line, to determine which items can actually be modified or reduced by sweat equity, such as paint, smoke detectors, doors, windows, anything that doesn't require a permit. And then you'll see on the sample document that the new modified amount came to $25,078, and it kind of went through each item and with that new modified amount, and everything in that column adds up to the new amount and is fully accounted for. And so it's best to see where that bottom line number came from or how you got to that number, and it's just the right thing to do. So that's how a modified scope is prepared and submitted by the broker. It goes to the seller with a signed offer with your proof of funds, which, by the way, must cover the purchase price plus the scope of work or modified scope of work. So if the modified scope of work is 25,000 and the purchase price is 25,000, then you would need to show proof of funds or pre-approval in the amount of 50,000 or more, because you have to cover both the purchase price and the scope of work. And so again, if you're on the city website and if you don't see a property or a scope of work, then that means that it could possibly be listed with one of the city brokers, city listing brokers, which in that case, it would be listed in MLS through the real estate broker, and they would have access and would have to provide you with the scope of work for that property. Now, getting back to this modified scope of work, if you're using your own contractor, or let's say you're a contractor, you're a licensed contractor, and you're writing up your own bid, then again, you can reduce the scope down even further than the 40%, but the contractor's bid must also show line items or itemized estimates, and it must make sense. So in other words, what they don't want to see is an original city scope of work, say for 100,000, reduced down to say $15,000 or $20,000. That's 80,000 or $85,000 less than what they originally estimated the work to be on this property. If they see something like this, it will definitely raise a red flag, and they will definitely question it, and it may even just be flat out rejected. So again, if you're using a licensed contractor to write up a separate bid in lieu of the city scope, just make sure it makes sense and it is within reason. You don't want to raise red flags on this potential offer. So if you do these things, you'll be much closer to getting an accepted offer, to getting a winning bid and a scope of work, and then eventually a successful closing on a city-owned property. So again, it's the right thing to do. It's the best practice strategy, and it's a more solid financial strategy for you as you work through this investment project. So we want to make sure that you're doing things right and that you're doing things in the best capacity to come up with a win-win situation and a winning strategy for you as you create or increase and expand your investment portfolio with real estate. All right. Awesome. Well, that's it for today's episode on the City of Milwaukee scope of work. Now, keep in mind that each property is unique and there are different scenarios that may arise. So it's always best to evaluate the properties and the strategies on a case-by-case basis with your realtor. And just as a simple reminder, we are contracted with the City of Milwaukee as city brokers. We serve as listing brokers for city-owned properties and the city tax foreclosures. And so we'd be happy to assist you further with any specific questions you may have about any City of Milwaukee property or any other foreclosure property. I am an REO, an investment broker, and an REO listing broker as well. So if there's anything that we can further assist you with, please, by all means, don't hesitate to give us a call. We're happy to help. So once again, in closing, folks, I hope that you found this information to be useful and of value. I want to thank you again for those who have called in or emailed and contacted us with your feedback and questions. We certainly appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to answer any questions that you might have, or if you want to chit-chat any further in more details about this or any other show topics, we'd love to hear from you. So we seek to educate and empower you, our fabulous listeners, so that you can make an informed decision about your real estate transaction. All right, I want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of Sonia's Real Estate Connection. It is always a pleasure and honor to serve my listening audience in this capacity. And folks, if you have any other questions about today's topic or any other topics, please send them in, give us a call. You can reach us toll free at 844-777-7725. Again, that toll-free number is 844-777-7725, or give us a call at the office, 414-395-8771. We're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Weekends by appointment, weekends and evenings by appointment. We're always available to take your calls. We do periodically. We check voicemail constantly and respond to email. So again, feel free to give us a call at the office, 414-395-8771, or you may send us an email to info@midexec.com. We have a great commercial real estate agent, Randy Jones. He's always available to answer any questions you might have and help you out with your real estate needs. Randy Jones at 414-395-8086. Again, 414-395-8086 to reach Mr. Randy Jones, or you can email him at randy@midexec.com, and randy@midexec.com. Folks, don't forget to check out our website for more information on city listings, REOs, foreclosures, and investment properties. Or if you want to know what's going on in your neighborhood or in your area, check us out, MidwestExecutiveRealty.com. Again, MidwestExecutiveRealty.com. Thank you so much, people. I'm Sonia Mays. I'm your local and trusted real estate broker with Midwest Executive Realty at Park Place in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We're located in zip code 53224, just east of Highway 145, and we're just a few minutes south of Menominee Falls, providing residential and commercial real estate assistance and services to you. Again, we're here to serve your real estate needs, one family at a time. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you again real soon. Make it a great day.